Hey everybody, Shane here, Shoebox Legends. Thanks for joining me today for an educational video all about buybacks. I've been enjoying collecting these twice pack-issued cards for over a decade now, and I've had a couple of requests recently to do sort of an informational video breaking down some of the buyback programs that we've had in our hobby over the last couple of decades. So we're going to do that today. We're going to discuss 6 different buyback programs, see some examples of each, and learn a little bit about each of them. But before we get started, I just want to lay the groundwork. We're going to focus on baseball only today, but just know that there are buyback programs in other sports as well. They've had them in hockey and football and I think basketball and other sports. So if buybacks are something that are interesting to you, this is not an all-inclusive list. This is just going to be baseball. And then to take it a step further, I'm only going to talk about Topps buybacks today. But there have been programs from other manufacturers like Upper Deck and Donruss, starting as early as the late 90s, that featured buyback cards. So this is not an exhaustive or expansive list, but rather just a highlight of 6 of the most common programs that I feel are important to know about as a buyback collector. And we're going to start with Topps Heritage. You've had this Lowell Palmer kind of lurking in the background here, and I've drawn up an index card crudely for each of these, so pardon my artwork. But these started back in 2008 as box toppers in the Heritage product. So it's an individually wrapped original Topps card that was stamped with this giant 50th anniversary stamp and then included in a hobby box of Heritage and then distributed to collectors in that manner. So what this would look like when you would get your hobby box of Topps Heritage, you might find sitting on top of your packs when you rip off the cellophane a single wrapped buyback card that looks something like this. And as I noted on my index card, you can easily identify what years these are from in 2 ways. Number one, the buyback is always going to be from the year that Topps Heritage is paying tribute to in that year's set. So in this case, this is a 2013 Topps Heritage buyback because in 2013, they did the 1964 design. So all of the buybacks in Topps Heritage in the year 2013 are all going to be 1964 cards originally. And the easy way that you can tell that is by looking at the stamp itself. So it's going to be a little bit hard to make out here on video, but there are 2 ribbons coming off the bottom portion of the stamp. And you can see in the leftmost ribbon here, it says 70 to signify the year 1970, which is the original release year of this Lowell Palmer card. And then on the right side of the stamp, it says 19, which signifies that this is a 2019 Topps Heritage buyback. So just like Heritage always pays tribute to the set that is 50 years old, the buyback is always going to come from that same set whenever you pull one out of a Heritage box. So really cool. They go back again all the way to 2008. So coming up on 20 years in another year or 2 here. Hope to see these continue into the future. They're wildly popular with Heritage collectors, so I feel like they will. And the only other thing I'll say about those, the majority of them are commons. You will find the occasional star player, but your odds of pulling a star player or a Hall of Famer out of your individually wrapped box topper are very, very slim. You're most likely going to get a common card, which are still desirable. So that was it. 2008, they started that program. And then there was kind of a lull for a few years. There have been little one-off programs here and there, but as far as a major buyback issue, all was quiet until 2014. And in 2014, they launched what began a 4-year run that was sort of the heyday of these buybacks. So these were found in the 2014 Topps, just the standard flagship and update set. They would fall at 2 per hobby box or jumbo box. And they had this 75th anniversary logo stamped on the card. So you can see on this Victor Cruz from 1980, it's got that logo in the upper right, silver foil stamped. The original years for these cards were anywhere from 1957 through 1980. The reason they began at 57, of course, anything 1956 or older would have been an odd size card that wouldn't really fit in the pack because these were pack issued. So you would be thumbing through your pack of 2014, Topps flagship, collating your cards, working on your set, and all of a sudden you'd run across an old stamped card right in the middle of your pack. So obviously those cards had to be the same size in order to be distributed that way in a pack. And the only other thing that's worth noting about the 2014s, they all have the same silver stamp, the Topps 75th, but there were different stamp sizes. So you can see the stamp on this Victor Cruz is significantly larger than the smaller stamp on this Frank Fernandez which is also found upper right. So these small stamps in particular kind of get missed sometimes. And every once in a while, you'll run across one of these that actually is a buyback, but the owner just misses that really, really small 75th anniversary stamp that identifies it. So as I said, that was the first in a 4-year run where Topps gave us these buybacks right in their flagship packs alongside all the other cards and inserts. And the second year of that was 2015 Topps. And we got these Topps original buybacks in 2015. Again, these fell at 2 per hobby box or jumbo box. And in this case, the original years were again 1915 through 1980. So very similar program here to the year prior in 2014. Same stamp on all the cards, same Topps original silver stamp that you can see on this Sammy White. Same insertion ratio, and really very similar program overall. And these only have the single size stamp. So whatever year your card was from, you would have that Topps original stamp, 1957 through 1980. And again, similar to 2014, the majority of those are going to be common players. You will get the occasional superstar, but your odds are not good at pulling a superstar card. In the third year of the 4-year heyday, in 2016, we got the 65th anniversary Topps. Now, it's a little bit weird where the 2014s were 75th anniversary and the 2016s were 65th. But I think one is relative to Topps as a company starting, and then the other is relative to when Topps started to make baseball sets, which would have been 65 years in 2016. So these, if we take a look at the first one, they have a 65th anniversary logo, and you can see it in the upper left here on this Tommy Helms. Okay, original years on these a little bit different. You won't find any of these older than 1970. However, they went all the way to present day as well. So whereas the prior 2 buyback sets were 57 through 80, your standard vintage only, in 2016, they went all the way to 2015 essentially. You could pull a card that was just 1 year old as a buyback. The other change that took place in 2016, they introduced different colors for rarity. So proceeding along from most common to most scarce, we have the black foil, which we've been looking at here. Then you have the red foil, and you can see it right above Albert Pujols here in the middle of this card. Got that red 65th anniversary. And this is an example of how the cards included modern as well, beginning in 2016. Your next rarest color was blue. And here's a great Nolan Ryan with that blue 65th stamp. From there, you had silver. And here's a 85 Topps Hall of Famer Dave Parker from the 2016 buyback program with the silver stamp. And then they also introduced one-of-ones in 2016, which is pretty cool. I believe these are the first actual stamped one-of-one buybacks that exist. And you can see these golds had the one-of-one right there on the card. Super cool, and definitely added another chase element to buyback collecting, which I really enjoy. So that was 2016. And then in 2017, they really blew the doors off, and they unleashed the largest buyback program ever done to date. Many of you are probably familiar with this one, Rediscover Topps. So a few things to note here. They did away with the one-of-ones that they had in 2016, so they eliminated those, but they did keep colored stamps for rarity from bronze, beginning with bronze, which is the one we see here. You can see that Rediscover Topps going right up the right side of the card. Then going on to silver, gold, blue, and red being the most scarce. The original years for these spanned really the entire era of standard card sizes. So you could get a Rediscover anywhere from 1957 all the way through present, which would have been 2016, obviously in the year 2017. So pretty cool. And then the other thing that was a major change with these buybacks, whereas the last last 3 programs that we looked at, you could only pull them in Topps Flagship. But in 2017, with this Rediscover program, they included these in Topps Flagship, but also many other sets like Archives and Allen and Ginter. And they fell at 1 every 6 packs across all of those products. So if you were opening Topps products in 2017, odds are you saw some of these. This Phil Garner is a bronze foil. This Jose LeBoy from 71, you can see, is a silver foil. It can be difficult in certain lights to tell the difference between the foil stamps, so you got to be careful of that. We've got the gold foil on this 2015, and here's an example of a card that was only a year or 2 old. when it was included as a buyback. Topps allegedly included over 2 million cards in the 2017 Rediscover program. There's a Tim Wallach from '89. And then we close out with the red foil, which is the most scarce, Ollie Brown from 1974. This one was a blue foil. So yeah, 5 colors of rarity, but no one-of-ones, and just a monster program across tons of different Topps products that year. Then after 2017, that was it. We had that 4-year run, 2014 through 2017, and other than Topps Heritage, which was continuing on year by year, it seemed like that was kind of the end of buybacks. But thankfully, at the end of last year, Fanatics gave us a new buyback program. And these were included in the 2024 Topps Advent calendars. Now, this was a product that's exactly what it sounds like. You had like 24 packs in a box, and the idea is you open one each day in the month of December leading up to the Christmas holiday. 2 of those packs out of the 24 would be these individually wrapped buybacks. So you can see here, it's a Topps Originals ornament stamp. You can see it in the lower right here on this Clayton Kershaw. What's great about these, it's stars and Hall of Famers only. You will not pull any common players or scrub guys from the 2024 program. And they did include one-of-ones as well. And then they also included non-Topps flagship cards as buybacks. So every program that we've looked at up until this last one, all of the original cards were just from Topps. And they certainly had those, like this Clayton Kershaw in the 2024 Advent program. This Kershaw is just a standard 2013 Topps card initially, but they included other brands. So you could get a Bowman buyback, like this Mike Trout, or even a Topps Stadium Club buyback, like this Ken Griffey Jr. So pretty cool that you could get more than just your standard flagship Topps in buyback format, thanks to this Advent program. And then lastly, they did include one-of-ones in the Advent program as well, but they're kind of sneaky. So in 2016, the other year where they have one-of-ones, they are clearly stamped right on the front of the card, right underneath that gold stamp. In 2024, with the Advent program, you have to know, and you have to check the backs of your buybacks. So this Don Mattingly looks just like the Clayton Kershaw that we saw a moment ago, but if we flip it over, there is sneakily a one-of-one silver stamp in the upper right corner here. So these are only stamped on the back, no other way to really differentiate them from the other buybacks in the program. And that's going to conclude the overview of the 6 programs that we were going to look at today, starting with Topps Heritage all the way back in 2008 and continuing on through the Advent Calendar buyback program, which happened just a few months ago. Love collecting these. I hope some of you found this interesting and informative. If you have any questions about buybacks or these programs at all, please feel free to ask in the comments below. And in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be back soon, as you know. And just enjoy the hobby, everybody, and get out there and collect some buybacks. Take care.